Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.
Have got to get up pretty early to go do something. We are the Alternative Dig Talk. With our mobile studios, we are redefining TV presentation just as technology is setting the pace. We are blending our approach with fresh, perspectively designed breakfast show, The Mighty Drive, informative and entertainment show, exclusive and live interviews.
We President Museveni wadde juzi namulaba apima akawunga kilo 2 tasobola kalya nini bwaba alya kilo 5 oyannema okuliisa eggwanga ne bwe limundekera.
Njagala kwebaza the Alternative Dig Talk etuwadde kano ka Mighty Drive era n'abatuwuliriza bonna abali ku mikutu njagala basaba mugendo maaso n'okuwuliriza.
All given to you just a click away on your phone, tablet, laptop and smart TVs as we are streaming live on our social media platforms, on the road and on the go. We are the Alternative Dig Talk.
Hello, beautiful people. You're welcome to the Snap Talk with your girl Teddy Tenjo every Saturday, right from 6 to 7.
It is your responsibility. Omwana wo kubeera mu nyumba nga teyasuze bweru mbo bamubanja rent. Koyo kulaba abalenzi abasajja abakunga. Butuufu tebabuulirirwa nga babulamu.
Towerabira nti tuli wano ku the Alternative Dig Talk. Mukwano gwange gwali topic kiri wandiyagadde twogereko. Is it about family?
You can take your time, look for a job, stabilize, men will come, men will always be there, you will get the men. Bonna goyagala musajja yenna goyagala ojja mufuna.
Embaga ketuuke. Bino bitu yasenga na ojja bafuna.
Naye ng'oli asitudde ttu yakedde ku makyabbaga nti nsitudde ttu. Naye nga mu butuufu agambye nti akyali muto.
Is it outside family? Is it society? Oh, could it be relationships? Just be commenting a topic yona gyandiyagadde twogereko tujja kwa tujogera kwano ku the Alternative Dig Talk ku share enganzi the Snap Talk.
Hey Ugandans, I'm Lieutenant Colonel Dewa Kiki, the Deputy Defense Spokesperson and actually the Deputy Spokesperson for the Uganda People's Defense Forces. I was hosted on Alternative Dig Talk. I encourage all Ugandans that this is the way to go. Always watch, participate, give your views and ask questions on Alternative Dig Talk. Dig Talk, the way to go.
The Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.
very, very good morning and a warm welcome to the Mighty Drive Show. My name is Edgar, Mathew, Karuhanga. It is a Wednesday and we are live from Karuhanga. This is the Alternative Uganda and yes, the Alternative TikTok in particular. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard. For the next 2 hours, we are going to be having a little bit of discussions and fun. Today, we delve into the education sector of the country as we, host the guild president of Chambogo University. That is Mr. Mbaziira John. Yes, he is the guild president of the Chambogo University, one of the oldest and biggest institutions in this country. He will be joining us in a few minutes, but before he does that, ladies and gentlemen, we shall be going in for some of the news stories that have been making rounds all over the world and all over social media and in Uganda in particular as well. Mwasuze mutyanno mwenna abatulaba olunaku olwaleero. Abantu bangi nabatukeererako kubanga batulaba wano ku page the Alternative Uganda ne ku the Mighty Drive Show. Njagala okusooka okwebaza omwami Alex Kalangwa Afimbo onono omwana abeera nnyo ku Facebook ng'alaba envubuka Nakinku tweyanziza nnyo okubanga otulaba olunaku olwaleero. Ali mu bifo ebyerwezaawo, I think yes, watera okubanga alabira. Alex Kalangwa Afimbo nkwebaza okubanga oli ku mukutu the Alternative Digital okuwano ku the Mighty Drive. Kyamaanyi nnyo okubanga okedde naffe olunaku olwaleero. Nga sinnayingira mu mawulire, njagala okusooka era okuwagamba nti nno mu studio era siriimu nzeka, nja kuba neegattibwako omukyala Luwedde Lilian Maasokaawo making sure nti nno bino ebintu bijja mu mpewo ne mubiraba in real time, kwe kuli omwami Roger Sturiahabwe ali ku camera ne omukyala Teddy Tenjo Nabukeera ali ku production yawo, producer for olunaku olwaleero, then ne director olunaku olwaleero y'omwami Kato Tumusiime naye wali mu nkato okubanga by making sure this is a success. Katungeko mawuli agabadde katambula gy'otabadde arcades ezo bagambe mugira mulindako okuziggulawo oba arcade mu Luganda simanyi we baziyita oba nago gabeera gasemaduuka naye nga arcades ebyo ebizimbe binene ebibadde biriko amaduuka ag'enjawulo ag'Abannayuganda babagambe mulindeko paka ng'ennaku z'omwezi 7 musobole okubanga muggulawo arcade zammwe wadde bayisiza kino ekiragiro abantu bangi abagenzi ne baggulawo amaduuka gaabwe tobagambe ebyo ku arcade ez'enjawulo olunaku lwabadde lwaggulu kirabikanga bagamba bannange tuyise munaku 42 nga tetuli bulungi ate oyagalira tuggalewo amaduuka gaffe ne bagamba kikafuuwe era bo ti amaduuka gaabwe bagagudde dda ku arcade ezimuwadde ng'etteeka libadde nti olina okusooka n'ofuna certificate kulaga oba certification card eraga nti nno bakukkiriza okuba ng'ogenda maaso ne trade, because you know what, it is a country bagala regulating how these arcades are working and more. So abantu abasinga bo bagambe tebagenda kusobola kubanga bagalawo amaduuka gaabwe. Katulabe kiki engeri gye kinaba kitambuddemu awo. Mu mawulire amalala ekiri mu Olympics wetwogereranga bannayuganda Joshua Cheptegei n'omwami Jacob Chiplimo banono abavubuka babiri bakulembeddemu oba be bakiikiridde Uganda wali mu mpaka ezo Olympics. Twabalaba bawangula silver ne bronze mu 10,000 meters wadde bantu bangi bali basuubira nti Cheptegei Joshua agenda kubanga ajjayo omudaali ogwa zaabu ekitaasoboka. Naye zino races zi15 naye era bakomyewo ezo race ya 5000 meters zibeera laps 12 nga wetolola ekisaawe. So bazze ne bayita mu preliminaries zosookeramu okutuuka ku the main engagement. Jacob Chiplimo yamalidde mu kifo kyadde kya kutaano, omwami Kiprotich omwami Cheptegei ye yamalidde mu kifo kyakuna. So bagenda kubanga beeyongerayo mu meters zino ez'e15 omanyi batwalako abataana baba basoose, so we bagenda okompeting okulaba ani anaatwala gold, silver ne bronze. Katulinde tubasabire abantu bangi no batunudde zino empaka nga omwami Cheptegei asobola okweddiza naye mutyo omwayogera ku 5000 meters n'atasobola kubanga kitwala. Omanyi si buli lunaku nti no obeera Sunday nti ogenda kubanga owangula. By the way, ne Kenya eyo eri mu maziga ndooza olw'omudaali gwe badde bamanyira okubanga bawangula. I think omudaali gwa 3000 meters ogwa steeplechase ogw'abaami abana Kenya jo bagumisinze okumala emyaka kuva Olympics zatandika. I think Olympics zatandika in 1968. Yes, okutandika abafirika okwetaba mu Olympics zino batandika in 1968. From 1968 abana Kenya ade befuze ekifo ekyo nga every time there is an Olympics bade bawangula that gold medal oguli wali ogwa 3000 meters steeplechase y'abaami naye olunaku lwabadde lwaggulu nabo baamisinze out Omumerika we yaze n'abawangula ko guno omudaali ekyalumya Abannakenya n'abangi kubanga kuva 68 baguwangula 72 ne baddamu ne baguwangula 76 tebaaliyo because of omanyi that boycott was against the Olympics by then nga tulwanira obwetwaze bafera nga tulwanira n'ensi endala ez'Abafirika omwali South Africa ezali ziri under colonialism so abantu tebazeetabaamu mu 76 ne 8 ndoza tebeetabaamu naye mu 84 era Kenya yaddamu newangula ogwo omudaali 1988 era neguwangula 92 neguwangula 96 neguwangula olabidira mbadde bawangula guno omudaali ogwa 3000 meters for the men wa steeplechase naye olunaku lw'eggulo karikodi kaabwe bakamenyewo in fact owaabwe yazidde mu kifo kyade kya kusatu omwami oyo yawangudde bronze Abannakenya bo banyiize bunyiizi mu mawulire amalala ndoza tukome wano mu ggwanga Uganda speaker Jacob Olanya olunaku lw'eggulo yaappointinze omukyala Sarah Kigongo okubanga yakola ku communications over social media ye oba ebyempuliziganya bye ne communications kati omanyi abantu we batonga speaker of parliament abeera n'emirimu mingi oluusi abayetaaga omuntu anaamuyambako mu ku disseminating information oba communication so balonze omwami speaker Jacob Olanya yalonze omukyala Sarah Kigongo amanaging social media ye then ne deputy speaker omukyala oyo ya nominating Sabiti Joseph yes Sabiti Joseph omwami yadde akola ku NBS the Political Command Center nga y'omu kuba show host aba erimu ku shows abwenganzi gye bayita the front line so omwami Sabiti Joseph naye yagudde mu bintu we bamuwadde omulimu guno n'agukkiriza then ne Sadat Chitata yagenda okubanga ayogerera omwami Mathew Mpuga ono ye leader of opposition wali mu parliament so zino zenkyukakyuka abamu bagudde mu bintu kati bagenda kubanga bamanaginga emikutu gy'abakulu wali ku mikutu nga Twitter Facebook n'emirala kubanga bacommunicating eri banna Uganda in fact tuwadde n'obuzibu bungi in the Ugandan status quo or in Uganda as a country we don't give a lot of people information nti information tuwadde tumusulidde gwanagamba abantu tebafuna adequate information in real time oluusi woleta bana abantu that means people are going to actually be getting engagement from the parliament of Uganda nga bafuna their views in fact nga bawuliza ne kyekigenda mu maaso in real time oba olese communication specialist bwatyo misinformation is brought about by lack of information at all so eggwanga ngali nolabanga parliament te posting a kintu teyogera ku kikigenda mu maaso ministries zote zoogera ko yadde kwegamba we need to grow a culture of communication and keep make these government officials hold them accountable to their promises and their oaths mu mawulire amalala ba driver bo bafunye omwezi mulamba ba drivers abadde permits zaabwe ezaali zaggwako bawadde omwezi mulamba okusobola okubanga bali renewing permits zaabwe guno omwezi ogugwako gwa August tebajja kubaddamu kubakkiriza kuvuganga permit teri renewed so abadde permit yengeweddeko gendako ali ku Uganda Railway ojja kusobola okubanga ozza permit yo obujja sente tezibeera nno nyingi nnyo wadde kubamu Abannayuganda zibeera nyingi gibeera emitwalo ndoza nga 2 oba 24 we watyo yes okubanga renewing permit iyo omutendesi Micho Sredejovic omwami ono ye Uganda Cranes coach omujja jukira omwami ono okuva bagoba McKinstry Jonathan baleeta bakomyawo omwami Micho abaddeko wano yajjako by the way yatandika okujja mu Uganda I think that was 2003 or 2004 yes yajja ne yegatta ku timu eya Villa by then n'agitendeka nno bulungi n'agiwangula n'ebikopo bya liigi omwami ono abadde mulungi nnyo yagendako wabweru w'eggwanga n'asobola okubanga atendekako Orlando Pirates atendeseeko TP Mazembe atendeseeko n'ensi Al-Ahly I think yes then amaze n'akomawo eri ewaka essanyu nno libadde lingi we yagambye muno ye yakomawo wano in his football home katulina tulabe kikyanakola n'atandikidde ku lusozi lubayita luli olusozi abambalagala okubanga agenda kubanga atandikira ku World Cup qualifiers ekibinja ekyo tulimu ne Kenya tulimu ne Rwanda tulimu ne Togo I think yes okubanga tunoonya ani anaagenda mu World Cup ya mwaka 2022 mu mawulire amalala nga tuvudde ewa omwami Mutendesi Micho no Micho yaweze enkolokoto n'agamba ye aze kuwangula aze kutereeza byali byasoba excuse me ne bamubuuza ku what about ngeri gye mwayawukanamu ne fufa president ne fufa yonna n'agamba betwabitereeza oluusi challenges zibeerawo naye tugenda kubanga atugenda mu maaso eddakiika ziri 15 ezakayita ku ssaawa emu ey'okumakya amanya nze Edgar okubanga nkweza olunaku lwa nabagambe tugenda mbeera n'omwami Mbaziira John ono ye guild president owa Kyambogo University oba ye mukulembeze w'abayizi ku ssettendekero oli owa Kyambogo University ajja kuba twegattako maasawo tube nga tunyumyamu balina no campaign bagiyise oba fixed education campaign yes ajja kuba gitugamba kikyekkwataganako ate bannayuganda banaafunamu ki at the end of the day. Mu mawulire amalala ndooza katugendeke wa omulodi Elias Lukwago no omulodi ono yalabikiddeko ku mukutu ogumu wa ku mutimbaganaawo ng'ayogera ng'agamba yetagenda kukwata ssente ze personal money abenga azinvestinga mu bantu gavumenti yeyina okubanga ekikola kino kino kivudde ku ennaku zino new style of politics eyaze in the Ugandan dimensions okubanga bakulembeze benyini kati be batuusa services ku bantu nti olaba wali omwami Mr Updates omwami owa MP wa Kawempe North yes Kawempe North constituency yakoze eddwaliro Kawempe North otwogereranga baasi eri mu kkubo naye etuuka enaatera otuuka okuva wali mu kibuga ekya Amsterdam mu Netherlands abannayuganda abali eyo ndowooza bagasegasa ensimbi bafunire omwami Segirinya oba Mr Updates basobole okuba nga bamufunira bus eya Kawempe North so naye naatera okutuuka otwogerera omwami ono atandise okubanga bamuyise the political Zacharias abantu baite bamusuubira kubanga akola byakola ennaku zino so basi abannakawempe naatera okutuuka eddwaliro lyo lyatuuka ddala lirimu zi MRI scan bannakawempe bo kyayika bali mu republic endala etali ya Uganda so omwami Segirinya yalese politics empya ate tulabe ne ba leaders ab'enjawulo nga nabo aba MPs batandise obikoleyo mu Gwanjuba I think that is Western Uganda yes obugwanjuba waliyo ba legislators ab'enjawulo nga bo badde bawa abantu baabwe emmere bagezezaako bambi okubanga at this time bayimirirawo babeere n'abantu baabwe this is actually abantu asinga no bakitunulidde bubi nga bagamba ebintu olina bikola naye ate the politics of this country wotabikole bali onalinda di government ejje ebikolere manyi government is a process ogenda mu parliament otabolinge atomalo tabolinga ensonga atoddeyo gidefending ate bagiscrutinizing ate government egisindike mu executive ogisa you see how that turmoil webere yamanyi so ba leaders bo bagambye kabakwate ku sente zaabwe bakolera abantu baabwe mu 2026 abantu baabwe banaba bajjukira na by then era katusuubire bajja bajjukira abannayuganda bo tobanyumiza oluusi bayinza okusifuna oli anaabawo akasente kudakiika esembayo how do you even pay 1000 for my vote amazima nusu 1000 lunkyuse endowooza yange abannayuganda ndowooza twetaaga tuzuukuke nga tumanye the value of the power you have nti olukumiro bakuwadde lukulemesa service delivery because wanakwera olukumirwe ekitegeeza abaako jemu wato inacho mubanja kirala abannayuganda ndoza tuleme kubeera myopic I think we as a country are suffering from what we call myopia ensi Uganda tulabira mu mangu wano maaso we don't see far tetusobola kukola vision etulaba wala abasinga ne ba government in fact as a country as a system as a society tutunula kumpi tukola ekintu nga olaba Afcon wali mu fufa tukola Afcon eddako kasita tunagigendamu nga tuwumula olaba aba ministers ne bakibakola 2026 bankomyewo you don't do something that is Jolabo Mukululo, no gamba, this is a line. I'm leaving a legacy for myself. And for that to be inculcated in a society, it has to start from you as an individual. Gwengo omuntu ntikati gwosazeewo ki mu your everyday life. Ogenda naye kufuna akaveero kakasuke ng'oli mu motoka ovuga okakusula busuuzi. That is what I'm talking about. Gwenga gwokoze plan okumanya nti no, how do I make a Uganda better? Because this changing a mindset, it takes over years. In fact, it takes generations. Kati Uganda wano wetwatuuka okuddamu okurethinkinga bino ebintu tugambe katutandika okulowooza ku future generation katulowooze ku baana baffe n'abazzukulu baffe it is going to take another generation, another long time, because ate kibadde mu bantu okumala ebbanga lingi. So if it doesn't start with you, I don't know how will it start. So bambi ebintu ebitutandika obirowoozako. Myopia is one of the biggest challenges that we have as a country, okubanga tulabira kumpi kuno mubakulembeze mu families fenna tuli so myopic, but we need to actually change this. Ladies and gentlemen, dakika ziri 19 ezakayita ku ssaawa, in fact ziweza abiri awo dakika zange ziba ziwedde ez'okuba wa mawulire. It's time we go for a short commercial break, and when we come back tujja kwandoza Maasa omwami Mbaziira sinamulabako naye ndoza Maasa wajja kuba twegattako naye wetukomawo omukyala Lilian ajja kubabuuzaako tutandika okunyumyamu emboozi nga bwe tuyiga. This is the Mighty Drive.
Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.
People, you're welcome to the Snap Talk with your girl Teddy Tenjo every Saturday right from 6 to 7.
It is your responsibility omwana wo kubeera mu nyumba nga teyasuze bweru mbo bamubanja rent. Koyo kulaba abalenzi abasajja abakunga butuufu tebabuulirirwa nga babulamu.
Towerabira nti tuli wano ku the Alternative Dig Talk. Mukwano gwange gwaliye topic kiji wandiyagadde twogereko. Is it about family?
You can take your time, look for a job, stabilize. Men will come, men will always be there. You will get the men. Bonna goyagala musajja yenna goyagala ojja mufuna.
Embaga ketuuke bino bitu byasenga na ojja bafuna.
Naye ng'oli asitudde tu yakedde ku macha baga nti nsitudde tu naye nga mutuufu agambye nti gy'akyali muto.
Is it outside family? Is it society? Oh, could it be relationships? Just be commenting a topic yona gyandiyagadde twogereko tujja kwa tujogera kwano ku the Alternative Dig Talk ku share enganzi the Snap Talk.
Hey Ugandans, I'm Lieutenant Colonel Dewa Kiki, the Deputy Defense Spokesperson and actually the Deputy Spokesperson for the Uganda People's Defense Forces. I was hosted on Alternative Dig Talk. I encourage all Ugandans that this is the way to go. Always watch, participate, give your views and ask questions on Alternative Dig Talk. Dig Talk, the way to go.
The Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.
kusatu ziri enaku tuli mwezi gwa munana rather munnange dakika ziri 24 kayita ku ssaawa emu ey'amakya g'olunaku luno olwaleero mbaaniriza the mighty drive program gy'oli mu kulaba amanya nze omumbejja Luwedde Lilian. Omwezi no guno mupya naye waliwo mukwano gwange gwe nalabye ng'agamba omwezi ogw'omunaana gumuyigiriza essomo. Twakatambulako ennaku nnya naye nga ye ngamba gwamuyigiriza dde essomo kwegane neewuunya Monika banaye kutumiddeko nnyo agambye omwezi gw'omunaana gumuyigiriza essomo ly'amaanyi naye tetunnagutambulako yadde ogutuuka mu makati naye nga mbandiriza mwebale nnyo mwenna abatwekumiddeko mu kaseera kano tukyagenda mu maaso n'okuba nti tubaweereza ndi ne munnange Edgar Mathew Karuhanga maaso awo tugenda kuba twegattibwako omwami Mbaziira John era ng'ono ye guild president wa Chambogo University twogera ku nsonga z'ebyenjigiriza the future of education twagala kumanya yenga ye guild president kiki kibakozeewo batambudde ebigere bimeka okulaba nti abaana basobola okuddamu okusoma kiki balinawo campaign yonna gye bagenda maaso n'okuba nti bakola byonna agenda kuba nga bitunyonyola nga maze okuba nga atwegatako mu dakiika ntono nnyo okuva kati naye nga agenda kuba tubuulira bingi nnyo the e-learning process ebayise etya during this COVID-19 pandemic of which waliwo ne 12% eya internet tax sawa zino oluusi network erina oluusi bwe yeecangacyangamu jjukira abamu bw'abanga agenda kusoma network abamu yeesanga nga teri stable waliwo abaana bali mu bitundu by'eggwanga ebyenjawulo abali mu northern region abali mu eastern region abali mu western region abafuna obuzibu ne network mu nsonga y'okusoma so agenda kuba bitunyonyola ye nga ye guild president ensonga nga zino asobola zi addressinga atya naye nga mwami Edgar wasuze otya tewekakasa bwe wasuzeewa wasuze bweru wasuze omusezi yazze waloose ebitya byakutiisizze byakulemeseza okufuna ekiro ekirungi. That's the good thing.
Every day you wake up, Lilian, be grateful to God because the mere fact that you're breathing, that is a blessing enough. Well, mukisoredo obukumala. Okubanga osobola okuzuuka n'ossa empewo eyo. Na waliwo abali bagisasula milioni 3 n'ekitundu buli lunaku.
Olina asinga ekyapa. Afuna omukka. Oguli
temporal. Omanyi kati omukka people about buying just more time. Since you're sure nti ogenda beera just about buying more time. Ndoza obadde chambuza bade story waliwo story gyoyogeddeko ya Monica ogamba buno by 4th August
omwezi
kikyabadde ategeeza ngali gwakayitako ennaku nnya
sikitegeera nange
kuba nange kineewunyisiza it surprise me.
Mwami Mbaziira John amaze okuba nga atwegattako mu kaseera kano
tugenda nakumubuuzaako lwaki obudde tabukwata. It's not good. It's not ethical for you not to be 25 minutes late of the interview to get a chimubuza. Let's go for a short commercial break. When we come back, we have the guild president of Chambogo University.
Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk. Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.
Welcome back from that short commercial break. We start off the mighty drive. Ngai twabasubiza omwami Mbaziira John. He is the guild president of this country, of Kyambogo University, not this country. That will be a future prospect. Yeah, so already atwega seko tugenda kubanga tunyumyamu naye litwa anyumya naye. By the way, we did a show with him a couple of months ago we yali agenda okujja mu ntebe eno yaita mu challenges zino nyingi ne NUP simbo baji mujjako. It was a tussle, but he was able to come out successful. Ladies and gentlemen, we have the guild president of Kyambogo University, and he's here to talk to us on the drive today. So let me cross over to him. Omwami Mbaziira tukwaniriza ku mighty drive. Obulamu bubadde butyeyo. Obwaffe si bulubi. Yes, obeere nga abantu bakulaba bulungi. Kati tusanyusa okulaba wadde otuuseemu leeti. One would ask a guild president watukira leeti wati, is it lwakubola president wo atugamba sawa bbiri agenda kuba atuuse ajja bbiri kitundu? Is that a disease we are having as a country, or it is in you the leaders?
It is not with the individuals, but it is a problem with the nation. You know our roads. Everyone would prefer using a safer road, but early this morning they have just opened the transport, but you find jam. So you have to
that means when you find traffic jam, you have not come early. What is the early? That is the thing. Because analimuliza omwami General Correta ngagamba yete yetagana lead car. Yewa amanya agenda be akwen BS kusawe mu. Lwacha zuka era ku 12 kitundu ayino kumanya jam we Kampala jazuka nga 14 kitundu atandike jane by sawe mu eja kuwe sawe.
In a general's language that one we can.
Kali tukusonyiye itsoke tukusonyiye mwami Mbaziira. Soko buzeko banda Uganda bakula abali mukula bolina kulale babuze.
Thank you so much for this opportunity, and we thank our friends of media. Wherever you give us such an opportunity to talk to the people, we know there are so many viewers who pick up our message, and many continue to reach out to us to bring the different challenges they are facing, and we find ways how we go about them. In particular, I want to thank Alternative for the continued efforts you're pushing in airing out the voice of the common people. Also, in a special way, I want to greet our parents who continue each and every day tirelessly to ensure that they provide us, and also to thank our fellow students for ensuring that they are safe. We sympathize with the families of those who have lost their lives, those who are still sick. We recorded some, by the way, some cases of deaths, 1 or 2, of our fellow students and members of staff. So we sympathize with those families, and we pray for them that may the Almighty strengthen them to pass through this situation. Yeah, once again, I'm Mbaziira John, a senior guild president, Kyambogo University.
You're most welcome on the show.
Thank you.
How has been the journey ever since you became the guild president?
Well, again, I want to thank you. I remember having a platform with you before my elections, to the eve. And a lot was there. I reached on the voting day. As I anticipated, my photo was not on the ballot. It was just the name. But I thank the students of Kyambogo University for embracing our message. They were not voting on maybe, because it was not a beauty contest. People had grasped the message, and they woke up. Over 4,000 students. They turned up to vote just a name without a vote. I want to accord them for such a gesture, and I continue to encourage them that if we continue taking such measures and such steps, indeed the future of our nation is bright.
I think even the symbol was taken away, right?
Everything, it was just a name.
Mbaziira John.
Mbaziira John.
And you won it.
And I won with over 4,000 votes. It's something
that is a landslide victory. But Mbaziira John, lockdown ekututetya abantu bangi bannaye bakabya amaluma. We saw people starving to death. And how have you made it through the 42 days?
Well, just like any other Ugandan, lockdown, it hasn't been easy. We thought maybe the restrictions wouldn't be that such tough, but along the way, as a student life, all of us were preparing for exams and all of those other sorts. Then we are cut off. Some students had to go back home, but I had to keep around the university because some of the university business were going up. Still, we had to follow up. And it has not been easy. It has been challenging, It comes with economic constraints and all other sorts. But all what, I thank the Almighty that I've been okay, health-wise. That is the most important, and God has enabled us to pass through this. And at least we have been trying to reach out to fellow students to check on them how they are.
Yeah, that is what I was also going to ask. Are there some things that you have done for the students in this time of the lockdown, you as their leader? Because, these days, if I want to even pick your mind about it, the politics has changed, that it is no longer the system that is serving its people. It's rather the individuals, the leaders. You will see even the legislators in the August House, they have now been forced to start building hospitals themselves, to start giving the people the food themselves. Yet it is not their mandate or their role. So are there some ways that you have helped these students? And even what's your take on that? That you guys have started not doing your duties, but because you need the election and you need to please your people because they gave you power, you need to go back and start giving them. Yet you actually don't even also have a lot. So what do you think? What's your take on that?
Unlike other leaders, in me in particular, I did not get much to maybe buy food stuff for the people.
That's the thing.
Me personally, in my own view, I'm realizing that is not a solution.
Yes.
In a recent press conference I had, I was very clear about it. That whereas we had our colleagues who were stranded, if we are to take such a gesture, we would not solve the problem. Just like still schools have not been reopened, those who are there are still there. And if we are to take the same way, we would not solve the problem. Rather, the actual solution would have been advocating for sustainable programs. And those ones would be, like, for example, telling the government to ensure that they open schools, or invoking alternative systems to ensure commencement of the studies such that people can finish in the years which they're supposed to finish. We also acknowledge that they have lost their years, but we would prefer that they don't lose other years. Someone who was meant to do a course for 2 years is now going for 3 years. That one of 3 years is going for 4 years. So we looked at it in a manner that we would amplify the voices to look at something sustainable than giving handfuls. Like, for example, if I come, I give you a kilo of posho today, it's not sustainable. Rather, it would have been...
you come back and then you still
that is the problem.
Very true. It would have been amplifying the voices as a whole, such that we be having a single demand that our problem, rather, it is not the food at hand, but we are looking at the future possibility of us commencing with our studies and we finish the programs such that we can go to other...
Okay, but that is about you finishing, the students finishing the education or their education. But I'm talking about the tangible ways. Maybe have you lobbied for some funds for them or something like that to help them thrive in this economic, depression that we're having now?
We actually, some groups of individuals tried to reach out to us and would refer them to interface directly with the people. Would not prefer taking a credit which is not ours. For example, I remember Manifest Fellowship, they reached out to me so I could direct to them where they are. And other individuals to go to the students directly. And the interface... I don't want to take a credit.
You're not an African leader. Leaders like to take credit.
Leaders like to take credit.
You see, there is a difference between the kind of leadership we are offering. You may come when you have come to get office. You may come when you have come to change a system or to advocate for a change in a system. It depends on your choice. Or you may come when you have come for PR. Our interest is not in PR. We have some key programs we manifested to the people as we are coming to the leadership, and that is where our focus has been, and that's where our focus is.
Speaking about focus, where is your focus now? What brings you to the Mighty Drive today?
As I was here last time with you before going to office, my key interest was in ensuring that in our leadership, we can advocate for ways that can ensure that there is an increase in the completion rates. I told you, like Chambogo University, you'll find them admitting over 20,000 students, year ones. But you find that those who graduate, they don't even go beyond 8,000. Then you ask, where is the gap?
Where did the 12,000 go?
Where did they go? So you find that many students, basically, these have been financial issues. And not that people cannot continuously pay, but you find that today, like we have been in COVID, you find you've lost your sponsor. Now you find hardships. Even when you have paid part of the tuition, you don't get an opportunity to complete. You find someone has studied 2 years, reaches the final year, maybe experiences financial problems and is left out. So that's why we have been putting efforts in ensuring that at least where someone can put in efforts maybe to meet a certain obligation, such a person should be given an opportunity to continue. Today I'm here in the Mighty Drive still to mobilize and call upon fellow students. As they reopened other sectors partially, we would prefer also schools to be opened. But we have seen a challenge that there is that kind of hoodwinking of the students and the parents from some of the institutions of learning and some of our fellow colleagues, some of our fellow leaders, students leaders, that some institutions have invoked alternative ways of learning, like e-learning stuff. That one we contested it. I remember when I was on this platform, still I told you about it. And our demand was, if Chambogo University can afford to give each student a laptop or an iPad, we would accept that mode of teaching. And today we are still refusing. It has not worked. Even the time they tried it out, it failed.
Does it require internet?
Well, it requires
the e-learning process.
It requires internet. So you're saying that in an atmosphere where government comes, they enforce the 12% internet tax. Are they encouraging people to embrace technology, or they are demoralizing, or they are making people to?
Your president last week said that you should embrace e-commerce, and the arts should also embrace using the internet. But that was a paradox. How can you say I embrace e-commerce? You want a trader to embrace e-commerce, but you're also levying a 12% tax on their data.
I've been seeing directors of the small medium enterprises.
Yes.
They have also been complaining about it. You tell them embrace the e-commerce, but you're not providing the infrastructure.
The system,
we have been
Facebook
very clear.
Up to now.
Very true. And we have been very clear about the issue of the internet accessibility. Last time Parliament, last year, they were discussing about it. I remember Honorable Winnie Kiza tabled it. And they realized that the internet penetration in Uganda is 28%.
Yes,
that is the reality. So when you say we go when you have not put a sustainable infrastructure in place which can enable each and every individual to be in a position to access the system, then you have not done enough.
Let me try to break it down for one Ugandan. When you say to internet penetration in this country, in Uganda we have over 45 million Ugandans approximately, let me say. But when you look at the active users, the people who are on social media in Uganda, 12.6 million. That means it's less than a half of the population is on social media. And when you look at those that are active on social media, 3 million. So you have alienated. You have alienated, like, I think 85% or 90% of Ugandans, and you're saying you're going to use that system on students. And when you look at that system, there are various students in various districts. Uganda is big. Now, how will a student of Nakapilipiliti, Zombo district at the borders of this country access this education? Sometimes we need, like Joel Senyoni said, politics of common sense.
That is very true.
Yes.
Yeah, that's why today we are coming out to continue now amplifying the voice and make it sure that we further to other stakeholders, like our leaders, our members of parliament. Like as I said, we can see some institutions which are trying to pretend like things are okay. And I've seen also some few of our students reaching out to me saying, President, look at Indeje, they are continuing. I'm sorry to mention the name of such an institution. But when I tried to analyze analyze the way they are doing, they have designed a system whereby if you have not paid 60% of the tuition, you don't access such a system. They are online system. You don't get the link.
So where does this leave the rest of the students?
The students. And when you look at such an instance, like we are from COVID, everyone has been hit hard by the pandemic and you put such a restriction that you must pay 60%. And when I looked at their fees structure, you find people are paying 3 million. People are paying 2 million. So I'm looking at such a situation. If these public institutions are to borrow the same system, how many students are going to be left out? People have been trying to compare with the universities like Kabare. This is a university which started in 2017. 16 around there. So you find that even their students, they may even be knowing each and everyone by name and where they stay. So you cannot compare them to an institution like Chambogo having over 40,000 students, having Makerere having over 50,000 students. So literally the comparison or that comparison is not clear at all. That's why I want to make it clear to my fellow students and other leaders that the National Council for Higher Education put up guidelines which these institutions were supposed to follow, including setting up an infrastructure to ensure that each and everyone accesses the studies, and also coming out with a feasible plan that in case Mbaziira is not able to get internet, Mbaziira is not able to access a smartphone to study, there must be a provision for a one Mbaziira to continue with the studies when things normalize. The guidelines which are there, they are emergency and they were issued out in June 2020, which implied that each and every institution had to renew their application over a period of 12 months. We have not seen them. That's why we have been engaging them, telling them that these guidelines, you don't fulfill them. Can you please ensure that you fit in the guidelines, and we continue. And well, we have had challenges across these institutions about results disappearing. Even last time we saw the scandals which were at LDC, a school of law, and the same applies to our institutions. We are saying that if physically when we come at schools, we have been having such a challenges, what will happen when we go online? So there are regulations and policies in place to ensure that quality is enforced. That's why we have been telling these institutions still that can you align this mode of teaching and learning in the same way with those policies which are existing, such that at the end of the day, we don't lose the actual objective, because some are continuing with the studies for sake of getting money. We have seen this. Last time I saw my colleagues of KIU, they were crying. They reached out to me. I told them, author a letter to National Council. National Council immediately responded by suspending all online examinations. Well, our friends have been comparing public institutions to private. But much as we tend to assume that those in private are sons and daughters of the rich, but still they are fellow common people, like us in those institutions, who might have not gotten an opportunity.
Public universities are the ones who are sons
so we realized that KIU was facing a problem, and we appreciate National Council for coming out and pronounces its position that administration of exams online should be suspended, and it was suspended. So they encouraged those who had applied for teaching to continue in regards to following the guidelines. So that's why that system is not yet clear. And Chambogo, among the guidelines which were issued out, was to make a survey from the students. I've just seen it, the link of recent. They are just conducting a survey right now. And what is so ashaming is that you conduct a survey online, which means that the people who are going to take the survey already have the capacity to do the online business. So what about the people?
Well, that's the thing. So the problem with our institutions, bakola ebintu kachizeme mu Uganda, bakola ebintu bakuchudusa mukolo mukati twakoze survey, but baga kati omenye, why don't we design a survey here tukayise mu bana abana ne bana balukumi nga bebayogedde naye ngati abana basuka ne bana omutwalo, which you get. That is the problem with us, and we do things just because we want to see tomorrow. We don't see what is going to be a year or something that is sustainable, as you saying. That is a very big challenge as a country.
Yeah, but well, we have been trying to engage with other students leaders.
Yes.
I'm in touch with students leaders from Bishop Stewart University. It is a private institution. I'm in touch with leaders from Gulu University. I'm in touch with the leaders from Obukarasa, their guild president. We are also trying to put efforts to engage our colleagues of Makerere that we can come up with one single voice. At this moment, I feel so disappointing to the community if I only come to speak out the issues of Chambogo. We have our friends or our younger brothers like in Senior 6 who may not get an opportunity to come and sit in a mighty drive to speak to the nation about this. I may have an opportunity to reach out to some MPs. Last time I was at Parliament sharing with some MPs, and they also acknowledge the loopholes and the gaps in the system. and they were appreciating our efforts in ensuring that we can push this issue to Parliament to be tabled and be discussed. So our efforts right now is to reach out to each and every student's leader of a positive mind who is not self-centered, of thinking that he can only look at the issues of his institution. Yes. We can come up with a collective voice. For example, we look at some key issues which are cutting across. For example, even before the address of the nation about the easing of the lockdown, we had a press conference where we demanded that the only solution right now we are having is to vaccinate students. And well, it tallied with what what was brought on board in easing the restrictions, and we appreciated that, but it was not clear still. It was left open that for them to open, we must vaccinate, but they did not put
They've
a time.
not told you how are you going to how are you going to be vaccinated? When what? You know, that is the problem. You just drop something there.
Yeah, very true.
That is a very
and we saw experts of recent saying that if they are to vaccinate every student, it may take like 3 years. But maybe when we are a bit relaxed, I want to think that even if they are to say less, for everyone to access his or her school, you must have been vaccinated. If vaccines are there, people will respond. If they're taking the students as a priority. Even if they're to say you go back and they vaccinate you from the school, this exercise, it cannot even take more than 3 months. That's what I'm sure of.
We don't
so
have
it is
the
just
vaccines yet, my dear.
the reluctance in the system. I heard there is a consignment reaching, a donation reaching.
Now you see, now the thing is, those donations, we've been donated 586,000 doses. But how many people are those doses going to work on? More, I think 200,000 people. And when you look at 200,000 Ugandans, those ones, many of our students, temulimu yadde. Bagenda bera bali bagamba balwadde abakulu, you know, those people, because kati vaccine zamwe mulinde ziri 18 million consignment yetwayisa 2020 paka sawa zino tetumanje eri. We don't know where the money is.
Actually, that's why I'm here today.
Yes.
That whereas our students have been relaxed wherever they have been, others have been looking at some of the minor issues, but we are saying that if the all guild leaders can come up with a single voice, I don't want to think it can be taken for granted. That issue. But if we feel we are comfortable, some these guys in the way of learning, e-learning, they say for us we want to continue, finish our semester. Others have given up. Others, some of our younger sisters right now are pregnant.
Very many.
Last time I saw a report just from Luwedde district, over 1,000.
There were 14,000.
1,400 something of that sort. They are just here in Kampala. Yesterday, but when I had a report, they are around 2,000 teenagers, and those are the ones who go to the hospitals. But the others who are kept at home.
I was surprised. I woke up one morning and I met 4 girls. All of them are pregnant, and I didn't meet them in the same place. Just walking from here to work, I found 4 young girls.
So that's how serious it is. And I'm thinking that as guild leaders, given that universities are the epitome of education, we must offer leadership not only to our centers of education, but also to these other levels of education, because those people, as I said, they may not get a chance to speak out to the community. But I'm thinking if we are to engage these other institutions and we show them that this is a matter of priority, I want to think
everybody should be in touch. Very
true. I want to think that these efforts will be given audience and
but we've had a problem generally with the government. They don't like to. There is a way they look down at student leaders. Why have you realized that? They want to shrink them down. Your young people, how are you going to undertake that challenge?
The problem is it has been that our debate or what we have our demands which we have been putting on the board, they are the one which make us to be despised. For example, if we wake up and we are saying, we are tired of bad beans at the kitchen, what do you expect from such a people? Actually, I've been interacting with some of the leaders at the various levels, including some administrators at Parliament. One time, a certain official there told me, but you guys have disappointed us. In 2018, I was at Parliament. We were discussing, we are petitioning the issue of scrapping off of dining halls from the university. He told me by our time then, we would never bring such issues here. You should be in position to shape the national policy. That's what I'm trying to bring to you. So if today we are coming out to maybe say, Prime Minister, please, we have our students who are stranded, also prioritize them, such a kind. We are lowering the debate. They will see that now our level is asking
Your
for
level of
partial.
thinking is
That's our level of thinking.
Yes.
But we are coming out to urge out issues that look, the nation is losing track. The future lies on the younger generation, as you're telling us. Each and every day we are recording teenage pregnancies, but we are not taking a look whether those guys are contracting infections or not. These are younger girls. Some of them are younger boys. So some have been sexually exploited. Some who have been involved in labor, child labor, and so many other sorts of things. Even some have been murdered during the course because of the married off, something of that sort. So if we come out with such an argument, the religious leaders came out, even they are in court. They are saying people are becoming immoral because churches are closed. But we students leaders are quiet. Why would you come out and urge out such a matters that look at the generation you are telling us it is losing track? Yes, if we are looking at the development of the nation, it lies on its labor force, which must be a professional labor force. So if you create a gap in the output of education, yet each and every day you're supposed to be laying off some labor force, how do you fix that gap? That is the argument we should be bringing out. But if we lower our debate on saying, Prime Minister, you give us partial, of course they will know that now that is yes, we also need 100,000. Just imagine a university student leader, yes, a university leader coming out to say we are begging for 100,000. I want to think our education is bigger than 100,000, and also I want to believe that the efforts by our parents they are injecting in paying functional fees, in paying tuition, they should be bigger than the 100,000. That's why I'm saying that if we come out with such a debate, even at Parliament, they can give us audience. We can opt for very many ways.
So, Mbaziira, there's this campaign you've been floating. What is it about? In just a minute, before we shall come back to detail it, but just give us a prologue of it.
Well, we came up with a campaign that is Fix Education in Uganda. And we are calling upon all students across Uganda to embrace it. Like I've told you, I've been trying to engage other colleagues, and I realize that they have been having challenges, much as some have been quiet. You know, there is a way how our community was set up, that when you have a problem, you may think you have it alone, and you choose to accept, maybe I will pass through it. Yet each and every day you're losing out. Even when people outside may think, that man is okay, yet inside you have a very big wound. But you don't want to tell people I have a wound who may help you to treat out that wound. That's why we came out to say, no, we are coming out with a campaign which is Fix Education in Uganda. And there are 3 key areas we are looking at.
That is where we are going to start from.
Yeah, thank you.
That is the Fix Education in Uganda campaign led by Mbaziira John, the Guild President of Chambogo University. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll go for a short commercial break. When we come back, me and Lilian will be delving more on that discussion. What is this campaign about? How is it going to affect the different Ugandans and students and more? That and more comes in. This is the Mighty Drive. My name is Edgar. I am with Lilian and Mr. Mbaziira John. Let's go for a short commercial break.
Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.
Hello, beautiful people. You're welcome to the Snap Talk with your girl Teddy Tenjo every Saturday, right from 6 to 7.
It is your responsibility. Omwana wo kubeera mu nyumba nga teyasuze bweru mbo bamubanja rent. Koyo kulaba abalenzi abasajja abakunga. Butuufu tebabuulirirwa nga babulamu.
Towerabira nti tuli wano ku the Alternative Dig Talk. Mukwano gwange gwaliye. Topic kiji wandiyagadde twogereko. Is it about family?
You can take your time. Look for a job, stabilize, men will come, men will always be there, you will get the men. Bonna goyagala musajja yenna goyagala ojja mufuna.
Embaga ketuuke. Bino bitu yasenga na ojja bafuna.
Naye ng'oli asitudde ttu yakedde ku macha baga nti nsitudde ttu. Naye nga mubutuufu agambye nti gy'akyali. Akyali muto.
Is it outside family? Is it society? Oh, could it be relationships? Just be commenting a topic yona gyandiyagadde twogereko tujja kwa tujogera kwanu ku the alternative digital kushare enganzi the snap talk.
Hey Ugandans, I'm Lieutenant Colonel Dewa Kiki, the Deputy Defense Spokesperson and actually the Deputy Spokesperson for the Uganda People's Defense Forces. I was hosted on Alternative Digital. I encourage all Ugandans that this is the way to go. Always watch, participate, give your views and ask questions on Alternative Digital. Digital, the way to go.
Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.
Ddala mu kuwummulamuoko ziri bbiri zennyini nnyini tekunayitako yadde eddakiika n'emu tukyali ku Mighty Drive era nga programu eno ebeerawo okuva ku Monday okutuuka olunaku Olwokutaano ne basawa muyo ku makya mpaka ssaawa 3. Amannya nze Omumbejja Luwedde Lilian andi ne munnange Edgar Mathew Karuhanga awamu n'omugenyi gwe tulina mu studios olunaku luno olwaleero omwami Mbaziira John era ng'ono ye guild president wa Kyambogo University. Tugaayagaya mu nsonga z'ebyenjigiriza era nga tutunuulira future y'ebyenjigiriza ye nga ye guild president ensonga zinazogerako ki alina kyakozeewo atunyonyodde nti waliwo campaign gye bagenda mu maaso n'okuba tebakola era nga baagala okulaba nti abaana bonna amasomero gaddamu okuggulwawo n'abaana ne baddamu okubeera nga basoma agenda kubanga atunyonnyola ebisingawo kweno campaign naye nga mu ssaawa yaffe eno ey'okubiri osobola okuba butereevu mu studios. Studio line eri 0789017145 0789017145. That's the studio line. Gyosobola okubako n'obuuza ekibuuzo kyo kyonna ate guild president n'abeera nga munnanga ate akuddamu bulungi nnyo nnyini ddala. Alina ebiranga ebyenjawulo oyagala kulanga naffe in one way or the other. Abantu basobole okumanya business yo eri luddawa, bakusanga batya, bakufuna batya. Namba y'essimu kosobola okubeera ng'oyita eri 0702900076 0702900076. alina ebiranga ebyenjawulo oyagala akalango kukabeere nga kaplayinga, oyagala kaplayinge ku Mighty Drive, kaplayinge ku voltage, kaplayinge ku snap talk, kaplayinge ku liiso ly'omukulu munange. That's the number gyosobola okubanga oyitako eri 0702900076. osobola okubanga ate oyogera n'omukulu oyo akubuulire process eri etya, otandika otya, what exactly do you need okulaba nti munange akalango kukabeera nga kakubibwa ku mpewo za alternative digital. Real issues, real talk fe munange ate bwe tukikola. Tukyagenda mu maaso n'omwami Mbaziira John and badde nsaba tutongereze kuba we tukomye on the issue of the campaign.
Nja kubanga ngatamu ne ku Luganda abatulaba. My fellow students, I will be trying to use English and Luganda.
To cater for all audiences.
Yeah, we have also our friends from the informal sector who may be tuned in and they are following up this debate. Ensonga gye twali twogerako ya fixed education in Uganda, your campaign. Tetujagamba nti ya Kyambogo, but it is a campaign in Uganda. We are saying that wherever people are, our fellow students, we want them to speak the same voice. even if they may not be in the close touch with us, but we want them to speak the same voice.
Is it for universities only or even the...
It is a campaign for students. We're also considering the lower school because they are so close. And those are students, even they subscribe to the students' body where we belong, the so-called unsa. Waliwo ogubinjwa gwe bateekawo okubanga waliwo ogubinjwa ogwo gwe bateekawo ogutwala abayizi ate nga n'abayizi ba university mwebali n'aba secondary school mwebali kyova twagala wamu eddoboozi tuligattire wamu ng'ate bibanyigiriza almost bifaanaganako ne bitunyigiriza mu kadde kano. Era campaign eno nga bwe nakugere twagenza okitunulamu nga ebizibu ebitunyigiriza they are more of the same. You find that each of us wants to go back to school right now. Some schools have disguised in the online mode of teaching and learning, even when we know that they can't. And I will not shy away to say.
But this online thing, hasn't it affected the education system?
Very much. It has affected. Last time you saw the results of S4, they said over 2,600 students missed exams. Those who had registered. It is because of that. People lost confidence. Other students are studying for you or not studying.
And even 50% of the students failed. By the way, if you realize, mostly only on the science subjects, 50%, 50 of the people who did the papers, they also defuna pass 8 in science subjects. My God,
yeah. Actually, I've been coming there. Why chemistry they failed it? Because chemistry you cannot do it virtually. That's what we have been telling our colleagues of Chambogo. Chambogo is known for engineering. That is the fact. How are you going to do engineering through a TV, through a radio, or through a smartphone?
Yeah. I am sorry to say this, but we have a generation that is not thinking. I swear, do we sit down and think about these policies? Because we make temporary solutions for permanent situations. Because online, you brought a very good point that omwana engineering or chemistry agenda kusoma atya. We are looking at just other sectors, and that's why the president will just say, "You use e-commerce, embrace e-commerce." But just saying, okay, we are embracing e-commerce, yes. But how are we going to? Are there some policies you have put in place as the government to aid this e-learning process? Are you giving students data? Have you thought about all the students generally? Is this sustainable?
Is the e-learning process sustainable?
Data wena kuznaduka na budusi. Those are the things I think we need to revise as a country.
Yeah, so now when we go back to the campaign, tujja kusanga nti kizibu kyawamu kiri mu secondary school and also the universities. That's why we are saying that that cannot be the immediate alternative for us. That's why we say that our first demand should be let them vaccinate students. Because even when the third wave comes, they will close the schools. Those who will be in a position to go on with the online, they will go. But even if today I finish, I'm looking at my sister, maybe who is in senior 6 or senior 5. Then by this time when I'm in office or when I'm a student at the university, what has been my contribution? That's what we want to challenge with our colleagues. What is your contribution? That's why I told you that I don't look at myself as a kind of leader who will have to give someone a kilo of posho than advocating for sustainable programs for them. I will not say that I gave so and so a kilo of posho when a problem was there, yet we have not tackled
You're not going to be on that gang of leaders who are doing that.
I'm not going to be
People
there.
Pleasers, but not policy makers.
I'm not going to be there. Even that's why we are saying that 100k was a mockery. But that's why we're saying that let them vaccinate students. Secondly, I've been re-echoing it to the community that I'm a council member of Chambogo University. When we talk about council, it is at the level of administration, but it gives direction to the general governance of the university, and it enforces policies, including budgeting for the university. That's the point I wanted to drive on. But right now they are crying, they don't have funds. The education budget was cut by 41%. We saw when the parliamentarians tried to reduce some of their budget, they spared some 80 billion. But among the priority areas they were talking about, they did not talk about education. We appreciate some were saying that let's allocate this money to Erethe, but we have been getting loans, donations for Erethe. Where are those monies? Some were saying let's spare this money for agriculture, but I did not hear anyone speak of education. But we would think maybe those 80 billions, they would spare some funds to bail out these institutions or to increase their funding. because even if we are to reopen, some of them cannot sustain themselves. Majority have been having a culture of relying on students. Right now, students, the parents are not there, and even the parents don't have the money. So how do these institutions commence? So would you think government coming out to bail them by giving maybe a supplementaries or increasing their fund? So our next point on agenda is to say, can government prioritize increasing funds for these institutions? For the public institution, it is part of its obligation. There is what we call the government subvention, but it has been going down for the past 2 years, ever since they channeled the payment system to URA. When I talk about government subvention, these are the monies remitted by government to these public institutions to enable them run their activities or sustain their runnings. But they have been dropping. What the government gives to institutions, it has been reducing actually for the past 3 years. So that's why we're saying that where is the priority of government? Is government taking education as a joke, or it is a priority to them? And if it is a priority, can they look through our demands? Yeah, and I want to believe it is the same thing happening in other public institutions, though our people or some of those people may not come out to speak. That's why I told you someone may be having a wound but doesn't want to tell people. Maybe will get ashamed, or has the fear, or he lacks the confidence. But I will say this, that Chambogo University right now is not doing well in terms of finance.
But President, I want to ask you something. I thought these institutions, these public institutions that have been in place for a long time, have in the long run also tried to find solution to cultivate funds for themselves, not needing maybe the government to come and bail them out. Like, you can't be in operation for close to 30 years and then you have not invested some of your money, you as an institution, to build up things that will bring back the money to you at the end of the day. What's your take on that?
That one, we have been talking about it. The issue, actually, Chambogo passed a resource mobilization policy, how they can be in position to mobilize their resources. But we also put our outcry to the university that they should not rely on students as a source of income. We have so many ventures, learning sections, which we can enterprise and they be generating money for the institution. For example, an institution like Chambogo today, which is good at engineering, we appreciate. It will be one of those universities, even having a construction company, getting contracts and generating money. It would be one of the institutions having a very big garage that today the van of Mighty Drive, instead of being taken to Katwe, it would be taken to Chambogo and something. But we want to believe that it cannot be done overnight, and we appreciate the efforts in moving in such a direction. But when I take you way back to the 90s, actually government was meeting all the costs of students in the public institutions. Whereas someone may argue out that the population of students has increased. But as the population increases, we also expect the government to exploit other ventures in increasing its revenue to sustain the population which is there. So that's why I want to believe that much as institutions have a role in putting in efforts in ensuring that they can sustain themselves financially, but first it is an obligation of government. Because these are their systems, and it is a shame that now we are paying to URA. URA, its role is to collect tax. So I want to believe right now government uses our tuition to do other business. Maybe our tuition we paid, let's say it was used for elections. Right now they don't have money, that's why they are cutting the education budget. I want to believe something of that sort. But it would be a priority, just like Earth. Earth is a public good, equally education is a public good. So we would expect them to put a key emphasis on education as a key priority for each and everyone to be in position to access such.
Mbaziira, what are some of the aims? Okay, you've talked about maybe sensitizing mass vaccination of students, but what are some of the other aims of your campaign that you're carrying out? What are some of the
well, as I said, that was number 2 of increasing the education funding. And the last one would be the issue of reopening the schools themselves. We want
are schools ready? Are schools ready to operate during this pandemic?
Well, schools they need to be, as I said, they need to be supported. Right now, what we need is to support them. First of all, to establish up to standard health facilities. For example, if each school can be having an isolation center at its depending on its capacity, that would be one good gesture for us.
Are you only looking at the schools in the central, or you're looking at the schools in the urban places?
Like as
So
I
in the
said,
rural, areas?
all schools across the country, they have the different leaders, leaders, just like Mbaziira for Chambogo. We also have His Excellency Sempija for Makerere. We also have Mponda for UCU. Across. So we are saying that anyone who appreciates the message, let him amplify the voice from wherever they are. We can do what is within our means, but we will pray that if each and every individual does what is within their means, if at the end of the day we consolidate the efforts, we can yield something big. I want to believe if we are to raise a petition, like if we have over 100 institutions just here in Central, are institutions of learning. If all guild leaders can come together and we raise a petition to Parliament, I don't want to think it can be taken in the same way, like it can be raised maybe by Chambogo individually or by Makerere individually. It can be given attention. That's why we are saying that let the people in the Guru, for us our efforts is to reach out to them. We tell them we are amplifying the voices. Can you do the same from wherever you are? You be the leader from that side. You be the leader from that side, such that at the end of the day we can have some good efforts in pursuing these objectives at the end of the day.
We've had issues with primary and secondary schools that are not in good conditions, and you want the schools to reopen. That's where my question was coming from. Are schools ready to operate? Because we have schools that don't even have the sick bay as one of the things in schools. So are they ready to operate during this period?
My also other question would be, how did we reach here? This is not the first COVID we're having in Uganda. We had the first pandemic. Who allowed those schools to reopen when they did not have the infrastructure?
But now you saw the way they were operating. Senior ones are I have not been studying for one good year, and then they went back for 1 month, and then they were told to go back home. Yes, and that's the problem. We have now people who have just finished their classes, looking at the candidate classes, so they have to go to the next class, but then we still have students who are still in that class. So, I mean, how is this going to be done?
That is the crowding I talked about, that if we don't release people to complete in the years in which they're supposed to do, at the end of the day we shall get crowding, and also we create a gap somewhere. Most especially when we look at the labor force. But as I've been trying to highlight that this is not the first pandemic. We had the first one. Where were the efforts of these institutions of government, the National Council for Higher Education, the Directorate of Education Standards, the Education Standards Agency, and the Ministry itself? Each and every time they remit money to pay staff of the Ministry of Education, including inspectors of schools. What have they been doing for all this period? Ever since we had COVID last year in March, where have been their efforts and their priority? Are these schools operating in another country other than Uganda, or are these institutions are just put up from nowhere? I want to believe their requirements which must be met by a business or a proprietor, for example, the private institutions, to put such institution in place. If they are public institutions, they also have a criteria, and their institutions responsible for that. How did those institutions come into place when they don't meet such requirements? But also we say in such a circumstances where we had a first wave, where we had to learn from, where were the efforts of these institutions of learning, these institutions which are in charge of the institutions of learning, the government institutions, to ensure that at least there is an average standard in each and every school or each and every institution in enforcing that we can have at least average health facilities. That's why we are saying that when students leaders lower their debate to asking 100,000, again they will look at us on the level of 100,000. But if we bring such an argument to the floor of Parliament, these are our members to represent us. I want to believe each and every MOP must be in position to know even the education institutions within the constituency, where have been their efforts in throwing this to the floor of Parliament. That's why we want to combine efforts, that we as students, as the way we speak, let them also speak for us. But it is very difficult if today you will find them discussing the man of the car, tomorrow they are discussing COVID, the other time we say Chitoreko got lost, we send a minister. So you find that there are so many things and there is no priority. But if we students are be very specific.
That is the challenge you have that I was talking about. If our leaders are doing that, then what are we going to do? Because now as the calf sees the mother cow, chuka, that's how it chews as well. So what when I'm looking at you saying that means the problem is not actually with them, but the problem is the system itself, we as the people. Because if members of parliament can actually debate that, how about we, people who are trying to be like them, in quotes? That's what I'm trying to assert.
That's why we are calling upon our colleagues that if we can have a single voice, but if today for us we are saying vaccinate students, increasing funding for the education institutions, other people are asking for 100k, we shall be losing it.
But now you talked about the massive vaccination of all students. I remember there was a woman MP of Soroti, I think she was questioning the Prime Minister over a businessman who was given over 2,000 doses for his workers, but then we have the frontline workers who are not even vaccinated. What does this mean? Because if you want to vaccinate all the students, but then we have even the frontline workers who are not even vaccinated, what does this mean?
Don't you think you are chewing what you may not be able to chew? Or you're biting what you cannot chew?
Not really, but I will say, for example, yesterday I saw on news the park coming out to question the way how they spend money for COVID, but it has taken long. They would have done that in the first place. Right now they are easing restrictions, people are getting back. We have lost people. Some are still sick wherever they are because of the poor infrastructure system which has been there. But they would have started with the monies we got in the first pandemic. Where did those monies go? The money for masks, they spared for the masks. How many Ugandans received?
Now let me tell you, they spared money for 18 million vaccines in March 2020, yes. Up to now, we've not got those. We're still living in donations.
Where I was driving the point at home is that we have so many distractions, and that is the operation of government, is to take away people from to cover up. When they see a serious issue, they will bring a minor issue, and all of us will jump on that and go. That's why we want to encourage students that we should not be hoodwinked. That there is this system, now we can do this, and then if we have specific demands and we continue over time, we want to believe these people will pay attention, critical attention to them.
But then one thing I would love to ask you, you're talking about this campaign, but who are the main stakeholders you're sending this campaign to, or this campaign? What is it aimed at, or where is it aimed at reaching?
First of all, we are at the extreme end, we as students, but we are looking at the Ministry of Health, at the Ministry of Education, and the Parliament itself. Because if those three institutions can work together, I want to believe at the end of the day we can yield something. But as I was speaking, that member MP of Soroti raised that on the floor of Parliament. But how often has it been raised? Have we been having repeated efforts bringing the same issue on board? It's just like today when I come up and I speak about maybe the war was coming in office, I contested this online system in the first place. But if I stopped there, today some of our students would have been victims. But we continue putting in efforts, pushing to National Council, pushing to the University Council, every stakeholder we have been engaging them. And our latest communication has been to National Council, also warning them that we are soon taking some other legal actions because we have engaged them in a proper way. We don't want us to be caught in the gaps of technicalities. We have engaged each and every one. We have engaged also the Ministry of Education. They are the same people.
No, but you're engaging the wrong in a system like this one, reality, speaking reality. You're writing to Parliament, you're writing to National Council, but you know where the power is. It is not there.
But what I want to believe is that if we ourselves undermine the law, then we shall be left with nothing to hang on. That's why even if we say the system is corrupt, well, let us leave the system to undermine. But we as individuals, we must say this is the law which was set up and we cling on it. Yes, we cannot say entirely that the law has not worked. There are some people, the issues which they prioritize in the law. Even the government itself fears to completely show as if there is no law, even when it continuously undermines. That's why we have to say let's first appreciate what the law states. Then we take in other efforts that no, the law, we embrace the law, but the law has not served us. So can we opt for other alternatives? But we cannot say the system does not work, so we shall not look at that. Let's first show the community that the system is not working. Then we are taking these actions and everyone will be having confidence. But if we just wake up, we say, this is the way, let's sit in the street, for example. Our people will be, but our leaders have not used these other windows of advocacy. That's why we are trying to exploit all of them to bring to their attention. At least each and everyone must be in position to know, those people communicated to us. Those people brought their demands or their outcry. Those are the efforts we are trying to take.
How long is this campaign planning to run? How long are you going to run? And if you don't mind, you can add in the impact. How are you planning to measure the impact of your campaign?
To measure the impact, first of all, we are looking at how far are we going to engage those responsible officials. That is our first step. Have we put in efforts in at least ensuring that all stakeholders who are the giving end have been engaged? That is the first question. Then two, how many other students, leaders have we reached out who are in position to embrace our message? Yeah, of course, that one we can see it in efforts we shall be putting in engaging people and other sorts. And how viral is the campaign going? Of course, that one you can be in position to see that this is the far they are reaching. And the responsiveness of these institutions, that if we engage them, are they in a position to respond? Are we putting wrong demands? That is the kind of engagement. Can we make our demands smarter than the way how they are? That's the way how we are trying to assess them. And I cannot say that it's going to end tomorrow. Like the issue of the education financing, it has not started today in COVID. Just COVID has made it more clear that there is a gap in funding. But we will prefer even other leaders and other students to continue with the same. Actually, it should be in public institutions, it should be some key areas should be entirely met by government, like a payment of the lecturers, like the infrastructure development. At least these functional fees would be actually paying functional fees alone. Because if you tell me today that you pay lecturers, and when lecturers go on strike, I don't study because you have not paid them, then what is the tuition which I'm paying? What is, those are the questions for the lecturers to teach. And you yourself, you're saying you're paying the lecturers. Then where is the problem? Yeah, so those are the questions I used to ask my fellow students, that yes, government tells us they pay lecturers. Then what is the law of tuition? Because we know functional fees, they will say it is for electricity, it is for security, it is for exams, it is for internship allowance, all of those sorts. Then what is tuition? It's off if government claims to be paying lecturers. So those are the things we're saying. But we're saying in this public institution, it would be actually a role of government to meet some of those funding areas, like paying of the staff, infrastructure development, putting up those buildings. Yeah, and then they leave these other small key issues to the students. That's why we're saying let the students themselves should continue with such a campaign. But we are bringing it with some immediate demands. For example, the vaccination, and also bailing out these institutions, including the reopening of the schools. But to those which will not be achieved the way we expect, they should continue. Maybe in the next passing of the budget, when we come out with such voices, even the parliamentarians and the government will realize that these students are also awake. Because if we leave it to the managers of these institutions, just imagine you are the vice chancellor of Chambogo University, you are in office by the mercy of the head of state, who recommended you in one way or the other, is your boss. So how do you come out to contest what is in place? Most of these are government workers, they have fears of losing their jobs. Even when these policies come, when they are not fair, they will keep quiet because they have the fears of losing their jobs, or some are securing their next appointment in office. Yeah, so that's why we're saying that when we students come out and we speak, these people will be left with no option, saying that the students are right. Even if they cannot come out, we say there is what we call passive allies. They can be there saying, yes, you're right, but they cannot come out to frontline the issue. So if we also leave it to them, that you managers go to your government, get the money, it becomes very difficult. But if we put in efforts and we tell them we have also put in efforts, you managers, can you also amplify? It becomes very easy.
Since you're an NUP cadre, have you got support from the party that you're representing?
Well, the first issue would be moral guidance, and we are getting that. As I said, we have been reaching out to some of our members of parliament. They have been guiding us on which the paths, the paths we must follow, and also they continue the support. You know, these things come with sometimes you find the hardships in taking decisions as a leader, but that kind of guidance, the moral support and the guidance we appreciate. They continuously do. They have not left us that those people won elections, we abandoned them, but they continue also to assess how far have you gone with the welfare of your people.
Yes, systematic. What should you have?
No, you've seen our principle. You've seen our principle quite often posting about some of our activities, even when they continue standing with us, even when we are pushed on the wall. So they continue also to ask us questions. How far were you going with the welfare of your people? Something of that.
So you're the alternative government. Ladies and gentlemen, we are still having the guild president of Kyambogo University. He's called Mr. Mbaziira John. He's already in studios here telling us about the new campaign that he's Fix Education in Uganda campaign. One campaign that is aimed at seeing students vaccinated, then as well as looking at the financial problems in the institutions, as well as crossing over, helping the students reopen, helping schools reopen and give students time. We have a couple of questions for you, by the way, on our social media platforms. There is one, Mr. Tumusime, he asks, where His Excellency Mbaziira talks about helping students who face the financial challenge as well at university. As the Kyambogo Guild leadership, do you have the financial capacity or the power to help all students in the same hardships?
Well,
there is one.
I re-echoed that. That's why I would not also try to hide in the coats of the ship when I'm not a ship. To say I will come and support people on the individual basis, because we don't have such a financial muscles. But our first key priority is advocacy. Actually, that is the role of a leader. Is to advocate to ensure that what the institution implements is in line with the interests of the students. Where there is a gap, you bring it to the attention of the university itself, management or administration, or in the other way around, where management is passing something, you must ensure that the students are consent with it. Actually, on that point, I would want to tell you that as people have been crying COVID, we want to go online. Kyambogo University has been trying to pass a new, revised its financial manual, where they had highlighted that a student who has not paid, who has not registered due to non-payment, should not be allowed to access university services, including lectures, academic assessment tests and assignments, library, medical, exams. I want to show you something of that sort. Where people are crying in this crisis, something else is passing. But I told them, no, where did you get this? Did you consult any student? Did we have a student representative on a finance committee? No. Did you come to the students' community to ask them what they would prefer or what is their suggestion? No. So I asked them, can you grant me permission to petition this issue? And we are coming out with a survey to administer to our students to get their views about this. You cannot say, if I have not registered because I have not paid, I will not go for lectures. You will not say, I will not sit tests. Then what of when I pay? Will you now give me such a services which I've missed? You know, say if I've not registered yet, I've reported at campus because I've not paid to zero balance, I will not go for medical. So when I fall sick, what happens? Yes, something of that sort. So that's why we're saying that our key priority areas should be in the advocacy of the students to meet their interests and also protect their interests.
Another question, though I really asked this one, but I think by the time this gentleman came on, we had finished it. He says, as the guild leadership and the president in particular, who formed part of UNSA, how have they helped the students in this pandemic in regards to their academics and their education?
Well, once, as I told you, there is ogubinja waliwo ogubinja ogwabayizi. But that is an institution. It is more of like a government agency. Kibiina ky'obukulembeze obuli mu buyinza essaawa zino bakiteekawo okubanga bajja abayizi ku mulamwa. Yeah, that's why.
But those are very serious allegations you are making.
No, that thing is to take away. That Wunsa was earlier on. There is what they used to call Nusu. Nusu was a student union by then when General Museveni was coming to power. It was a very powerful union for students. And in a governance, to someone who is more of a ruler, you not prefer having such a outstanding group of people. So later on it was substituted by Wunsa. Yeah, so Wunsa is an association that takes all students leaders across all institutions, including universities and secondary schools. In secondary schools, we have what we call councils, and they send delegates at their level to the district, then from the district to the national level. Then from these universities, the guild president and the guild speaker are automatically delegates. And then we get one other representative, depending on gender and other factors. So this association is supposed to be there to speak for the students, but we have not seen them coming out. And right now you'll find that the leadership which was there, it expired and they have not got any other leadership. But even that one which has been there, it has not done anything for the people. And for the years I've been at the university, I've not seen them, but we pay money for them. And we have not seen them coming out to speak out for the students. As I said, it is because it is more of a government agency. That when you land on the ground, in the previous elections, my predecessor, His Excellency Tunduru, when he went to vote, simply because his NUP, it was whisked away, even he got some slaps from the premises, voting premises.
Yet he's a leader.
That's what I'm trying to show you, that it is an institution which is there to mislead students. But that's something we cannot accept. That's why personally I did not go to contest. Because when you go in a wrong system, sometimes you can also get lost from there.
Yes.
Yeah, but when we are out and listening one or the other, we can try to give them direction. Maybe by doing what they would have done, they can wake up. Or by tasking them to do what we feel they should do. That's why I would say that Wunsa by now, it should be the one on the front line to speak about these issues. But we are not seeing them. Yeah.
They are silent. What are some of the things you're planning to do in case these issues are not addressed?
Well, in our earlier press conference, we said that if they don't listen to our outcry, we intend to engage other leaders, which we are doing right now, and also taking the necessary steps. But most importantly, we want to call upon our fellow students to report back. Hope I'm clear about that.
What does this mean? To report back to school?
Yes. What I can tell you right now in our off-campus residences like in Banda, students are there. Equally in Makerere, students are there. Even other institutions. So what we want to emphasize is that wherever our students are, let them come back. Yes, and for us, we are going to demand these institutions. After engaging them, we want to start them. That's what we are saying, that when we fear maybe to be beaten, because when you come out and speak, you will be beaten, then is it equivalent to losing your education? If government is not taking it as a priority, and we have taken the necessary engagements, we want to start calling upon them to come back. And we demand these institutions that Chambogo, can you reopen for us? For us, we okay. If you're saying we are sick, what are your efforts we're putting in ensuring that we commence with education? Okay, if you want to invoke an alternative system of learning, is it accessible by all of us? Me, what I'm appreciating is that some students are already there. So it gives me hope that if we are to start calling upon them, Makerere does the same, we do the same, and we start to demand for...
You're rallying students to come and go back to school. But when the challenges come, let me say strikes, because now that is the exact thing. When you rally a student to come at campus and the government has not yet opened up that institution, you've just brought about strikes and challenges. When you bring them, you may not feel the wrath, but they feel the wrath. I've seen one student at your university who lost their lives. The other, the last strike you had, his teeth. He was a student of a policeman. You remember that student? He was from Chambogo. He was
Yeah.
beaten Joy when
On about that student, he was blasted by the canister. By the canister. Well, it is just that the problem we Ugandans we have failed to embrace the non-violent way of showing the dissatisfaction. I want to tell you, of recent we had a demonstration in Chambogo. A demonstration. It was about issuing out the roadmap for graduation. We had colleagues who sat exams in November 2020, but university remained silent. They had also wanted to enforce this online mode of teaching. We told them, I wrote to the council, and all of them kept quiet. So we had to come out to show our dissatisfaction. And what we did, it was an occupation at the main building. I requested every student to sit down, and students sat down. Yeah, they sat down and they said, and I told them our demands are clear. Everyone was raising a placard, and our outcry reached. That's what I'm appreciating. Even they arrested me. I was driven up to Ginger Road, but they did not charge me of anything. Yes, is a right. That's what we want to interest our colleagues in. They took me. I told them, if they want to take me to court, let them take me. We did not ban anything. We did not break any window in Chambogo University. Given the unrest, it is only police when they got overwhelmed, they tear gas. But
the ones who started the violence.
Yeah, but what we appreciate is that our voice reached, and we are also coming out with more tactics of non-violence, of communicating to show our dissatisfaction. I want to believe. To commend the one of the tactic which was used by some Ugandans when they got a casket and they put the name and the photo of the we demand accountability. I don't want to think it remained the same, because I saw those stakeholders them coming out to comment. We have helped you so much. You people can't appreciate. Why would you throw coffins? So I want to show you that there is also power. There is also power in non-violence. Yeah, something of that sort. It is just that also these people prefer doing the wrong things in the dark. That's why we appreciate you, friends of media. I remember also in 2018 we had a demonstration in Chambogo when they wanted to increase money for internship. We rallied over thousands of students in front of the main building. Even when LDU came, we had a media around. Everyone was very peaceful, quiet. They could not do anything until the vice chancellor came out of his office and addressed. So they revoked that increment which was put there. That's why I want to give our colleagues confidence that we are not going to burn tires. No, that's not our way of showing dissatisfaction. But we're saying that, okay, if government fails to pronounce itself on reopening, let's start mobilizing our colleagues. That on this date, let's start to report. And we shall go, we tell them, you people, we did not come maybe to get married from Chambogo, over from Makerere, over from where. We came to pursue our degrees and go away. And I want to believe it will make a statement. I'll have a look at my colleague, His Excellency Sempiji, of recent, when he had a march to the Ministry of Education taking the petition where they are requesting for reducing all their functional fees. It made a statement. And I want to believe the stakeholders in charge got the message. But just imagine if there were over like 50 students. I want to believe everyone would be like, but there were like 10 students. But it made a statement. They did not burn any tire. They did not throw any stone at a police officer. But they are sat there. Yeah.
Hello. Yeah, good morning. No morning. Thanks, you guys, for your show, and most importantly for Mbaziira coming along. I have a quick one. I wanted to ask him, what happened to student leaders when they finish school? They seem to disappear. Of recent, you can hardly hear them. In most cases, after they have become good presidents, it seems like that's where their dreams end. Unlike those days where you would hear the likes of Mayombo, Mau, Longauto, Basaliwa, is there a problem with this specific generation that they seem to disappear after the guildship? Some of them become so satisfied and contented, and eventually they forget the bigger cause. So they are either bought and bought like spaghetti by the NRM people. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you, Mr. Norman. The question is yours.
Well, to that question, even us, it has been bothering. But the most important issue we should note is that when you're coming in office, you come with confidence. When you don't deliver, you lose the confidence. And that's why people disappear. That you come with confidence, then you reach at the way, maybe you're bought off. He has mentioned it. Or you fail to serve to the interests of the students you pledged. And maybe you give the money, you pass policies which compromise the stay of the students at campus. Definitely, when the students' community hate you, you lose the confidence and you go off the ground. I will not mention individuals, but we have seen them who have gone against the interests of the students, and at the end of the day, they disappear. The students stand against them. So they are forced to go in extinction, yeah. So that is the most important thing. And then also, why do we come in leadership? Our leadership has been losing the trend that some people would come by excitement. I want to be guilty president, and maybe also to brag around, put on suits. I also try to move in air. So when it ends, you go back where you are. But if you come...
When you complete your course...
Definitely, because now that's where your vision stops. Yeah, but if your vision is bigger than that, I don't want to think that you can extinct. Of course, you will continue. We are seeing some who have continued with the course wherever they are, and we have seen some who have disappeared. Maybe someone busy in the room says, I can also contest for guilty president. But you ask him, why are you? What has inspired you to? He cannot answer such a question. So such a person, his fate is still very short. That when he finished the regime, he will go back.
So you have plans of holding other leadership positions?
Basically, like even last time I told you, I've not come into the activism space by the office of the guilty president. We started this journey a long way back. Last time I told you, I was a student who thought that when I get a first class in Chambogo, I can be retained as a lecturer and the life ends there. So when I came in my year one, all my focus was on reading books. And there is no anywhere I scored less than 85. I had the A's throughout. But along the way, we faced challenges which had to wake us up, and we said, no, some of these things we need to speak about them. And that's how I was caught up in the struggle, and I'm still in the struggle. So our interest is basically fighting the unjust social systems. That is the most important thing. What we would call activism campaign for social change. That's what we would prefer. But then along the way, we found it that sometimes you rub shoulders with the leaders in space. You people, you're saying this, but the leader who has the authority to append the signature somewhere, or who represents you in the University Council, that's something different. That's why we said, no, can't wait to the space. We tried it with His Excellency Tundulu. He was part of us. We ever worked with Alternative, we got training from them, and we saw, yes, something could be there. Because if I'm up there and I refuse, I say that one, I will not append my signature, I'm not part of it. We, the students, are not part of it. The voice can be listened to. But even if you do much activism down, and then you have a corrupt person up, it becomes a challenging bit of it. That's why we said, can't we also get these offices, we use them on top of our activism. So me personally, it is not stopping at the guilty president. We are continuing to advocate for social systems which benefit all citizens, not a group of individuals getting money or exploiting others. So we are continuing with our activism even after this office.
Okay. Bw'otuba tutunuulidde ebiseera ebisinga you come out to voice issues ezibeera ziruma abaana. Do you normally do reports about these issues, or was it addressed on what has been done okulaba nti those issues are being worked on?
There is a new system gitwaleta mu Chambogo University. Waliwo kitwayita Guild Fellowship. When I ingira mu office, I would make sure every Sundays, every after 2 weeks, we would converge students. First of all, to sensitize them about the policies which are in place. Kubanga twagenda okizuula abakoligi banaffe abamu tebamanyi policies zino ziriwo ennungi zibatayogerako, ate ziriwo ezeetaaga okutunuliramu or to be revised ng'ate university tekitwala nga kikulu. So we put that in place, and also to frequently report to them. That last year, in the previous 2 weeks, we discussed this. The GRC discussed this, the Guild Cabinet discussed this, I took it to the council. This was the response, or this was the feedback. We brought that system, and we saw our students who were turning up, appreciating the efforts. And me personally, what I normally do, what I pick from the University Council, I make sure I report back to the guild cabinet and also down to the GRC house to let them know kino kye twadiscussingako nekitwalayo ne baddamu bwe bati wano twetaagamu efforts zammwe to do ABCD but most importantly is the students community and we put in such efforts to normally engage them and where the management responds we often communicate to the students that as regards to this issue this is that's how far we have gone and we are continuing with such engagements.
Okay.
Yeah.
Before you conclude, let me pose this question to you. What's the future of education right now, according to the Guild President of Chambogo University?
At the current stage, if we leave things to be the way how they are and continue the way how they have been, we are leaving education to be a business. That's what I can say. In a business, we have the bidders and we have the one who grants the bid. It reaches a time when you are a child or a son or a daughter of a common person, most likely you will not get education. I remember I was in my P7 where I started from. We were paying 50,000 as our fees. My school. No, it was a private school. Some private school. It was called Mutunde or Oasis Valley. So we were paying 50,000. I remember my mzee used to give me like a 50,000 intake. But right now, if you're to go down there, you can hardly get such a school. And that was 2009. That's when I was in P7. You can see it is not just far away from that. But the trend has changed. Right now, your kid to sit primary 7, you must incur in sums of money. Yeah, so you can see the trend. Yeah, the trend we are taking. We have these private institutions, private universities. I've been trying to look at their fees structure, but you'll find that the lowest fee they are paying is some 2 million, whereas in Chambogo you'll find that 2 million is among the highest fee we are paying, but you find some are paying 3.54 million. Yeah, that's why I've always been telling our students, let's not compare ourselves to private institutions. We have had a debate with my counterpart in His Excellency Amponda about education issue. He was telling us, for us in UCU, we are going online, but I reminded him, look, for you, some of your students are levied 3.5 million. How many of our students can be in a position to afford it? So we cannot compare ourselves. And even those who go to such universities can afford. Maybe even me, I would wish to be at Cavendish University. But I went where I could afford. Yeah, that is the reality. And equally, there are so many colleagues who are like me. That's why I'm saying that if we leave things to go the way how they are, it's going to reach a time when education is entirely business. And we shall have lost the objective of ensuring that each and every citizen can access affordable education.
Okay. Thank you so much, Mr. Mbaziira. Your parting shots. We've come to the end of the show.
Well, I want to thank you once again for always giving us this platform to air out to the community. But I want to encourage fellow students that they should not settle for less. Also to encourage my fellow leaders wherever they are, that let's not settle for less. We have gotten this opportunity to serve, but we should not only think that we are limited. Being a guild leader, it is such a powerful thing. Actually, they don't have any limitation. It's just maybe the way how we think. But let's look at ourselves as national leaders. Because we are leaders of our people at the university, we are leaders of vocational schools, we are leaders of secondary schools. All those people look up to us. So which kind of direction are we giving to those people? That is the most important. Then also I want to remind my fellow students in Chambogo University that there are reviews which were made by the finance committee of the council, which if we leave them to pass the way how they are, they will limit a student who has not registered to sit for lectures, to sit for tests and assignments, not to access medical services, not to access library services. And for you to register, you must have paid 100%. And I'm aware most of our colleagues, by the virtue of our earnings, even me myself, we pay towards exams. And in those reviews, they also highlighted it clear that if you have not paid 100%, you don't sit exams. Something which we strongly disagree with. A reason being, if I've paid 90%, for example, I'm supposed to pay maybe 1 million. I've paid 900. So if you disguise in the fact that I've not registered because I don't have a zero payment, are you going to refund? This is something we should contest, and it was also highlighted in the reviews. I want to assert our voice. I and the cabinet ministers and other guild leaders, we are coming up with a petition to present it to the University Council to bring in our views and alternatives. That instead of saying someone who has not paid 100% should not sit exams, can we agree on the percentage? That if at least I reach this percentage, I can continue. Because most of the times we get challenges which we don't expect. You've paid part of the tuition, maybe the parent has lost the job, maybe you have lost a beloved. We've got such a cases and other challenges, and you find people dropping out. That's why earlier on I told you that you'll find the people who are admitted are very many, but those who graduate are very few. And right now, Chambogo University is looking for that at pushing to ensure that the completion rates are 60%. Can you imagine? So our completion rates are below 60%. When you compare the intake and those who are going out, the graduation rates. That's why we are calling also upon our colleagues that this survey is going to be released within this very week. People will be required to fill in the questions, and we shall analyze the data, and it will depend on what our fellow students will suggest. That's what we are going to present before the council. But most importantly, I also call upon my fellow guild leaders that let's not settle for less. Let's do what is within our means at the time collectively. I would believe we shall set a trend for other guild leaders who will come in place. Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Mbaziira John. He is the guild president of Chambogo University. We've had him today, and it is a Wednesday. Thank you so much, everybody who has watched. And I would love to thank you, Mr. Mbaziira, for joining us. These are the young people who are transforming society. And if we had many people with such, thinking, that means our generation will be better, and our children, of course, will be better than this generation. Thank you so much for everybody who has been watching the Mighty Drive today. It is always an honor to do this with you, because we cannot actually do this if we don't have you on board. So thank you so much for watching. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for sharing, everybody. Thank you so much. To make this magic happen, we have Rogers Turiahabwe. He is on camera, and our producer of the day is Teddy Tenjo Nabukera. Our director is Mr. Kato. Thank you so much. And I worked with Lilian Luwedde. We'll come back tomorrow, by the way, in the in-house Thursday. And a special thank you to the guild president of Chambogo University, Mr. Mbaziira John, and every body. Norman Tumuhimbi, Sefarida Bikobere, Kalangwa Alex, Wamala Charles, very, very many people who watch us. But thank you so much. Everybody in Dubai, South Africa, everybody, thank you so much for watching the Mighty Drive. We come back tomorrow at exactly 7 a.m. Same place. It's the Alternative Uganda on Facebook and on YouTube. This video will be uploaded in a couple of minutes from now. So log on to our YouTube channel, and don't forget to subscribe, and don't forget to share for other people as well as to subscribe. My name is Edgar Mathew Karuhanga. God bless Uganda, and have yourself a good morning.
Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.